Yes, once again, welcome to Hen House Studios Live. And today, our guest is Ethan. How you doing today, Ethan?
Good, as always, huh?
All right. Ethan is a young musician who just moved from Seattle down to Los Angeles to, like many young musicians, to try to make his mark on Los Angeles. So how's it been going for you ever since you moved here, Ethan?
The weather and the women have been finer, so I have no complaints as far as that goes. Musically, I haven't played a lot of places, but there's some good shows going on, so no complaints.
Ethan is among a new breed of musicians that I've noticed who, they say they don't have any studio experience. Like when Ethan came to record to the Hen House, he said he had never been in a studio before. But in actuality, since you've done so much work at home on your computer recording system, you are as experienced as someone who's been in the studio hundreds of times, which is amazing, which is something that I think we're actually finding a new breed of young musicians here who go into the studio and they already know what they're doing. They understand how it works. And maybe you could add a little bit to that. How much time do you spend on your home studio and recording?
When I was back living at home and I had like a garage to myself and just the computer and my mics and everything set up, I mean, there were days if it was rolling good that I'd sit there for 10 hours and play and record, because it was the funnest thing I'd ever done once I figured it out. And I mean, like the possibilities were like just endless, just the thought of endless tracks, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You could
and
go
the editing, the unlimited editing that you can do. If for other young musicians out there, if they wanted to get started with the basic system, how much do you think it would cost for them now to have a computer-based system?
Oh, I got lucky because my brother worked in the computer industry up there. So my computer was cheap, but I'd say all together I probably put in, I'm gonna say $500 to $600.
See, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, to be able to actually record music that sounds, that well and that quality for $500-$600 it's really exciting time, I think, for young players to come up because they can actually learn how to write and create music and record it properly. So I remember you telling me that the room that you were recording at up in Seattle was actually like a cabin separate from your house with no heat. Maybe tell us a little bit about that. What was that like?
It was pretty much like Walden or something, with Thoreau. It was isolated from my parents' house, and it had this just spectacular view of this valley that was just gorgeous. And all I had was what I called like this Depression-era fireplace that was just this tiny little lunchbox of a fireplace, and
wow.
Basically just stack it with wood, and like it was a concrete foundation. So as soon as the first frost hit in like October, it just held that 32 degrees until spring. So I mean, I'd be sitting there playing and recording and whatever, and I mean, you could see your own breath and whatnot. It was pretty.
Wow.
Compared to California, it's pretty rugged, I guess.
And what about the fire? Did it make a sound or?
Absolutely, yeah. You can hear, like, it's funny now that I listen back on some of the older stuff I recorded when I started it out, you can hear, like, the fire in the background, you can hear, like, my phone go off, and I'm like, God, I'm such an amateur. But they all added to the charm, I guess, in one way or another.
Yeah, it's to the magic of the recording. So
sure.
Now, you came from this beautiful environment, probably very supportive parents, I imagine, right? And
absolutely.
Yeah, I have that feeling. And now you're in Hollywood, in aesthetically a place that's not that beautiful at all. I mean, Hollywood is, in the end, is one of the biggest tourist, disappointment that there possibly could be. People think Hollywood's going to be just this beautiful place, and it's actually just a bunch of concrete, hardly any trees, and really ugly. So what has that experience been like for you aesthetically, moving from such a beautiful place from up in the sticks, living in Seattle, down to that?
It was an extreme change, to tell you the truth. Like, just like you said, I mean, to go from basically green to gray in a matter of a couple weeks was kind of a tough adjustment. But if anything, like, I go back to Seattle and I appreciate it 100 times more. But Hollywood definitely is Holly weird for a reason, you know what I mean? It is pretty foul.
And you're a prolific songwriter. You've written, I'm assuming, hundreds of songs, right?
Yeah, a
Do
lot.
you have any idea how many songs you've written?
On just the computer program, I've got over 100. And then like I've got all those tapes and whatnot.
From
so
up north.
Well over 100.
Well over 100.
Yeah.
So how does the environment change that you just went through? Because you've been in LA for a short time, maybe half a year now.
Mm-hmm.
How does that affect your writing? Have you noticed anything, any differences?
To tell you the truth, I've noticed that I've written a whole lot less because I don't know if it's just an adjustment or whatever, but it's like everything's a lot more condensed and there's not this open environment. Everything's a lot tighter knit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I have written a lot less, but in the same sense, I've come up with some good songs. Like I finished "The Dead" down here for the lyrics and all that. So it has.
Hey, speaking of good songs, why don't you play us one of your songs? Why don't you set it up for us and play us a tune? I know everybody really wants to hear.
I'll do a number called "Hypnotized." And try that one out.
All right, I'm going to get out of your way and let you take it away. Ethan, take it away.
Sail on, sail away, rock the night away. Sail on, sail away, oh, rock the night away. A sweet kiss from ruby lips sends fire to the maker's eyes. A moving bliss from the moving hips, will it make sight? Yeah, I'm on tight. Sail on, sail away, rock the night away. Sail on, sail away, oh, rock the night away. Love drifts from southern slits of fire in between the pine. Tongue tips out tender lips, the angels cry. Yeah, I'm on tight. Sail on, sail away, rock the night away. Sail on, sail away, rock the night away.
Hey, very nice.
Thank you, thank you.
Some reggae influence there, huh? Something new for you. I haven't heard anything like that from you ever. What inspired that song?
God, that was an old one actually. I wrote that one probably when I was like 20, and I've kind of been messing with it ever since. But I definitely listen to the reggae, like a little bit of everything. So.
Speaking of being younger, when you were growing up, there was a lot happening in Seattle, the music scene, Nirvana, and it was a very exciting place to be. How old were you when that whole thing was blowing up there?
When it exploded, I was 13 years old in 7th grade, and I can still remember like seeing the video for "Smells Like Teen Spirit" for the first time, and just being like, "Oh, this is it," you know. And as far as being in Seattle for it, it was exciting because there was all this stuff happening around you, and it was so powerful and all around you that you didn't even realize like how significant it really was. You know, you were just kind of wrapped up in it. But like the one downside of it was that I was 13 years old, and Seattle has probably the worst dance ordinance in the country. And if you're under 21, you basically don't have a life in music, and you can't see hardly any shows. So there was all these amazing shows happening, but you couldn't go unless you were 21 years old.
Wow, I didn't
So,
realize that.
Yeah, it was a real.
Wasn't there any open air shows, outdoor shows that you could go to, underage shows?
They throw you a crumb like that every once in a while, but I mean, on the most part, like, you missed a lot of good music, and it's still in effect. Whereas a city like Portland, just south, you know, they have a really good system worked up where everybody can see shows, and these kids aren't out on the street, you know, causing trouble. They're out enjoying local live music. So.
It's fascinating. Fascinating time in music. You know, a lot of people don't realize that the producer of that record, Nevermind, is that what it was called? The Nirvana record? Butch Vig, those guys were in Madison, Wisconsin. And a lot of that record was actually recorded in Wisconsin.
Really?
So, yeah, so somehow Madison, which is this great town, is
Sure
sort of
it is.
the sister city to Seattle as far as that whole time in music. But anyway, Ethan came to the Hen House and recorded a couple songs, some great tunes, and we put together this video clip for you guys. You guys ready in there to roll the clip?
Ready to roll, Harlan.
Okay, cool. Let's roll the clip. Check it out. Ethan at the Hen House.
My name's Ethan, imported from Seattle, Washington to Hollywood, California with my friend Dave. That was in September, so we're fresh meat. We've been down here for about 5 or 6 months. This is the capital of the world for music, so that's where I wanted to go. It all started off with 45 Jerry Lee Lewis Gray Balls of Fire when I was about 6 years old, and I had this Fisher-Price turntable, this brown plastic one, and I used to put on Gray Balls of Fire, and from there I kind of went into like pretty much everything. I just listened to the best music of any genre, so my life's had a good soundtrack so far.
Oh, Miss Mary, she's rather scary. She runs across the graves at the cemetery. She likes the way they sound, with the ears to the ground of a freshly dug mound. Hello, well, hello.
The Dead, I had the music for it for ages because it was a pretty straight, like 12-bar blues, and I was just trying to get some words for it. I remembered my roommate, Jonas. This is the best first date story you'll ever hear. He met this girl online that lives in Anaheim. She's working in a mortuary, and while she's going to school, and she actually lives in this mortuary too. She lives in this little apartment inside the mortuary. And she's a good-looking girl, so he goes down there to meet her for the first date, right? And he drives down to Anaheim, goes to this mortuary. She opens this door for him. She says, "Go on in," right? And so he goes first, and she shuts the door behind him, and the lights are out. And so it's completely pitch black, and then she flips the lights on, and he's in the room with about 30 cadavers on the cold slabs. That's how the whole, like, Anaheim Courtney, it's pretty scary. Plays with the dead in the mortuary.
Anaheim Courtney, where is she scary? She plays with the dead in the mortuary. She likes to fool around, with the hand in the hair of a very dead head. Hello, well, hello.
I brought in my hired gun, Dave. He came in and rocked out the solo on that one. I was stoked that he came out.
Estate sales cost next to nothing. She likes the wedding gown, in front of some of mirror with the poise of the beer. Hello, well, hello.
I got my first guitar when I was 14, and I've been like writing music since I was 17. I record all the stuff on little tapes or whatever, so I never forget anything. So I got a good collection of probably like 40 or 50 90-minute tapes that are just full of, you know, nonsense and some good stuff too. This is kind of like a rough draft, which is what I love about this computer, is I can take one little idea of like a guitar line, record it or whatever. It's like a scrapbook, you know, you can just do little sketches. Yeah, that's a fresh one. Hot off the bakery line. I played everything except for Harlan, who rocked on the drums on both songs. I came across the Hen House, just found it on the web, and I said, I gotta be a part of this. I thought it was the coolest concept I'd seen. I got the call, I was stoked. I was actually right over there, pacing around, much like a hen. I'd never been in the studio before. I was nervous as all hell. I'm like, these guys are, these guys are pros, they're gonna see I'm an amateur and change their mind or something like that.
Impressions of right, impressions of right, impressions of right, impressional.
I think this whole city just has a great energy, this opportunity, dreaming spirit. And I came down here to meet the same kind of people who just moved from wherever they're at to look for something better, So I'm gonna stick around for a while.
Yes, Ethan at the Hen House. I want to personally thank you for letting me play drums on your tunes. That was a lot of fun.
I'm glad you did, man. It sounded great.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm really curious about your writing process. And when you decide you want to write a song, is it something you make a conscious decision first, or is the idea just hit you over the head and you can't help yourself? How does it work for you?
There hasn't been any steady formula. It's come both ways. I've sat and forced myself to come up with songs, and if I couldn't come up with anything, I'll try old methods and just, try to make them my own little style or whatever. But the majority of them definitely just come out of space and just hit me in the head for some reason. So, yeah.
Speaking of space, there's some spacey sounds happening in the studio today.
I heard that.
Anyway, cool. Yeah, it was great. I think those tunes came out really, really great, and you did a really good job. What about your friend Dave? Are you still playing with him? The guy who was playing some guitar licks on some of the tracks? Or?
Yeah, he's actually my roommate. So, yeah, he's got a good setup, Mesa Boogie and a Fender. So, yeah.
He's a nice guy too.
Absolutely.
A talented musician.
Yeah.
So what are you going to play for us now?
I'm going to play a song I wrote, again, I think I was about 19 years old, so this is 6 years old.
What's it called?
Leaving Atlanta High.
And what is it about?
This is about things you can't explain. In particular, one weekend I went out to the Gorge, which is a huge amphitheater in eastern Washington out in the desert overlooking this just phenomenal view of this gorge. And I went out and saw ZZ Top. I didn't actually make it to the show, but the stories from that weekend could fill a book or two at least.
Some visions. I had some visionary.
It was just madness all around. I was with a pretty wild group of people, and yeah.
High school.
Yeah, it was.
Whoa.
Chortling and chiseling was.
All right. Well, let's hear it, man. I'm psyched to hear it. Here we go, Ethan.
All right, Leaving Atlanta High.
Who the heck was that man? Chiselin', yeah, chiselin'. I'm leaving Atlanta High. Leaving Atlanta High. Leaving Atlanta High. And I don't leave, no, I don't leave. Don't leave it all. No, I don't wanna leave it all.
It was great.
Thank you.
Speaking of leaving high school, that's a pretty courageous thing, huh? I have the feeling that you could probably had a lot of other options other than moving to LA and come down to Los Angeles and pursue a music career.
I had, a good 5 years to think about it. So I did a little after-school education at Seattle Central, but
So you did go to college for a while?
yeah, a little bit, but.
Now, how do your parents feel about your decision to come down here and do this? I know you said they were supportive. I mean, they completely supportive, or?
They've always been 100% no matter what.
See, that's lucky.
Yeah.
See, I think a lot of people think that, to not necessarily go out and try to make yourself a career in something else is an easy thing to do. Possibly it's an easy thing to do, but I think pursuing music is, a lot of people look at it like it's oh, you're just a bum, you're pursuing music, why don't you go get a real job? No. I think it takes a lot more courage to pursue, a music career, rather than go out and try to get a straight job. And I really want to commend you for that decision. So let's talk a little bit about the future. What do you see your life in LA? What's the future like? What do you want the future to be like?
Basically, I never want to have a straight job again, or work for anybody else and create music and nothing else. And I guess that's everybody's dream in this science. But I've got a few songs coming out in some independent films over the summer, and I hope to keep that going. The whole industry is kind of on its back, you know what I mean? And it's kind of hard to predict anything. But at the same time, with things being how they are, I think it's a great time for somebody in my situation to be doing what they're doing, because there's a lot of avenues opening up that haven't been taken before, whether it be stuff online or just getting stuff in indie films. Like, the whole process of being heard is changing, so it's a good time to be learning and being a part of it.
Yeah, no one's really sure exactly where it's going. One thing's for sure, the songs are becoming so important. I mean, they always were important, but now, since people aren't necessarily buying CDs, they're essentially buying songs, bits of information that they're downloading to their computers. It's really changed everything. And the fact that you're a writer, and you're a very talented writer, I think you stand a really good chance of actually getting over and accomplishing something. So I wish you a lot of good luck on that. So anyway, I know that that you're trying to put a band together and you're trying to get some gigs. And what has that been like? What do what is your day like as far as your musical career, as far as being seen? What are the things that you have to do?
The one thing you have to do is just get out and play, which
have you been doing that?
Not at all. I have really bad stage fright, to tell you the truth.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
But the thing, I used to play a place up in Seattle all the time, like every weekend, and the same people were there every weekend, and I still got nervous every time. But once it hit and you get in the right groove, I'd totally forget about it. But
aren't you supposed to pretend everyone's in their underwear in the audience?
That's scary. You really don't want to do that.
That sometimes helps out a lot.
Yeah. But
that's interesting. I didn't know that about you. I would never know that. It doesn't show at all in your performance today.
That's true. But I'm actually auditioning for a band this week that has an amazing sound, and I'm really, really excited. And they saw my clip.
Oh, really?
And they said, you got to come audition. They sent me their stuff, and they're amazing.
Oh,
so hopefully it works out.
I wish you luck with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the stage fright thing, man, no one can tell. I think you're the only one that can tell. I'm sure our audience will all agree that this guy, he can rock. So anyway, we just have a few minutes left here, so why don't you take us out on a tune? Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're going to play now?
This one's called Rosalie, and I guess I'm pulling a lot of them out from years ago, but this one's in that same kind of era when I was about 19. I wrote this one.
How old are you now? You used to say years
25.
ago. Well, it wasn't that long ago, really.
6 years.
And I think I'm going to join you on this one.
Excellent.
Okay.
Rosalie.
Keep on rocking, man. Sounds good.
You them out. You make them scream. You make them shout. Lose the leg, lose the leg, lose the leg. Yeah, you were so electric before. You were so electric before. You were so. Losing